Here you go.
Evening, everyone. Welcome to the Devil's Advocate podcast. We've got a bit of a special show tonight. It is Talk of the League. It's back after a long hiatus. I wasn't actually part of the channel when this was last on. I've heard nothing but good things about it, and it's been certainly hyped up this week in all our WhatsApp chats and everything. So we've got a lot of hype to live up to here, me and the two boys. But happy to be joined tonight by Chelsea fan Evan. We don't have too many Chelsea fans on a Man United podcast channel, but Evan, more than welcome tonight.
We're dying breed in Ireland. It's the propaganda that you're putting against us here on the channel. But sure, look, I keep the flag flying higher for the London boys. You know.
Well, this is neutral territory tonight. This isn't the Man United pod. This
fucking
is
better because neutral. I can't have you two bastards ganging up on me.
Well, I can't promise that either. But also joined by my regular co-host at this point, Julio. Julio, how are you getting on, my friend?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Like you, I wasn't around when they were doing this before, so I'm looking forward to this. It's going to be quite an interesting conversation, to say the least.
Yeah, it's going to be different because we're so used to United fans just coming on here and having a bitch and a moan about the Glazers and what's going on at the club and everything that's gone wrong and how.
Guys, the Glazers.
Careful now, Evan. Careful. We're fucking 2 minutes in here.
I love it.
But look, it's probably a good week to kick off the Talk of the League because it was only a kind of trimmed down weekend this week because obviously we're in the mid-season break. There's only 10 teams in action this previous weekend and the coming weekend. We'll just quickly run through the results from last weekend. Last Friday, Burnley drew 1-1 with Luton Town. Then on Saturday, Evan was delighted to see Chelsea scrape a win over the mighty Fulham at Stamford Bridge.
I love a win's a win for me. Like, at this stage, I'll take it. Like.
That's what we've been saying every week for the last few months. It's getting boring.
For the last 10 years, you mean, since Fergie left. Since
exactly.
Jose left, actually. Since Jose left, you've been saying that.
We'll take them as they come. Man City came from behind to beat Newcastle United 3-2 at St James's Park. Then on Sunday, there was an absolute stellar game of football on Super Sunday as Everton drew 0-0 with Aston Villa. And then the mighty Manchester United drew 2-2 with the powerhouse of Europe, that is Tottenham Hotspur at Old Trafford on Sunday. So those are the results last week. I'm sure everyone is more than familiar with them now. At this phase, I feel a bit like John Motson there back in the day going through the old football results. But there you are.
Did you ever see your man on the African telly there? Like,
oh yeah,
like Man United 1,
2, Tottenham Hotspur 2.
Yeah.
Oh jeez, we're going to get done for racism 3.5 minutes into the turn of Talk of the League.
We can't do that.
Hey, you haven't got me started on Ireland yet.
Julio, be careful. Okay, look, boys, there's been a few talking points this week. There always is in the Premier League. And we start somewhere neutral that doesn't really affect either of our clubs. And that was the news this week. I think it was Monday that it broke. And it said that obviously Everton have been charged for a second time in 3 months for breaching the profitability and sustainability rules of the Premier League. And then also Nottingham Forest were charged as well. Obviously, both teams going to appeal the rulings. I think Everton are still in the process of appealing the first ruling and that 10-point deduction they received back in October, November. I can't quite remember when it was. Evan, I'll come to you first. What do you think this means for the likes of Everton and Forest going forward? Just say, for example, the appeals, that these things don't get overturned. What do you think it means for both of these clubs in terms of the summer? Do you think they're going to get maybe picked apart by the bigger clubs now who know that they both need the money to kind of balance the books again? Like, what do you see happening in the long term and the short term for Forest and Everton?
Well, really, like if the players just keep their heads and don't leave the social media and the whole thing of dropping 10 points and the discouragement, like I couldn't see why can't play the way they're normally playing. Like, it shouldn't really affect down on the pitch. you know what I mean? I know it affects on the board mentality or whatever, like, but at the end of the day, I think the club would be more worried about losing their record of being. I think it's just them and Arsenal haven't been relegated out of the Premier League. So, like, being honest with you, it's a shit situation. Like, it's a nightmare. Like, there is a chance of relegation. Like, if the appeal doesn't come through, and they keep losing more games and they drop points, whatever. Like, but I couldn't see it like affecting pitch level apart from mentality. Like, so just play on. Like, like the club fucked up. It wasn't the players that fucked up at the end of the day. So play ball is the way I see it.
Yeah, I was just taking a glance at the Premier League table there today, and I think without the 10-point deduction, Everton would have only been 5 points or so behind Manchester United. I think it was only, let me see, I have the Premier League table here just in front of me, and they would have been only 4 points behind Chelsea. Do you know? So, like, I mean,
that's a very low bar, if we're being honest.
Already. Well, in fairness, if you look at it, Chelsea are I think there's only 2 or 3 wins off last season's record. So
yeah,
I'll take it. Like, I'll take it.
Yeah, well, when you look at the last few seasons for Everton and how bad they've been, and they've been just constantly challenging to survive in the Premier League and barely surviving, I think Everton fans would have taken that mid-table mediocrity this year. So, like, I mean, if they had been on 20, so if they'd been on 27 points now, they'd be absolutely flying on their dive. But in fairness to them, you touched that there, Evan, saying with the players putting their heads down and getting on. I think in fairness to Everton, the players they've had a few good results since that points deduction was given to them, and who knows, it might be overturned and they could be okay in the long run. Julio, what way do you see this situation playing out yourself? I mean, what do you think this means for Everton and Forest in the short and long term? Do you see the vultures coming to pick the carcasses apart now in the summer, that there's financial instability at both clubs?
It's interesting looking at this because on the one hand, obviously you can sit there and say that 10 points is harsh for the deductions and everything for Everton, but realistically they brought it on themselves with all the mismanagement of the last 6, 7, 8 years. What Everton, it's quite funny what's happened to Everton in the sense that City have played the game to perfection in their whole thing, and they're kicking the can down the road. But with Everton, they've been punished for trying to do the right thing, which is quite an Everton thing to do, where they've gone, we'll work with the Premier League. We'll show you where, like, we've messed up there. We're proving to you that we've messed up somewhere, and they've gone, but you've also messed up here. So, listen, it's just crazy.
If it was a case of like, if we come clean, they might take it easy on us. But at what point do you say, like, you're saying the 10 points there was harsh, but like, what
10 points
is
harsh?
That off of, like, but like, how was it harsh? Like, we don't know. Like, they could have said,
it's harsh because it's not been seen before.
Exactly. So we don't know if it's going to be harsh. Like, in the future, if it does, or when it does happen to, say, City or Chelsea. Yeah.
Time will tell in hindsight how harsh. It seems harsh now, granted, but in hindsight, like, further down the line, we'll see how harsh it is. If Everton get another points,
should we say three wins? Like, do you know what I mean?
It's a lot of points, especially when you're down that end of the league. But I don't think they'll get 10 points again. Do you know what I mean? I don't think they'll get 10 points again. I think it'll be like 6 points or something. But like, as for Forest, put it this way: they both brought in a lot of players, especially Forest in recent times. So it's not surprising, but you can only hope that the Premier League are doing this to set a standard. Do you know what I mean? They're making a statement saying we're gonna, like, clamp down on all this mismanagement and ridiculous spending and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think what Forest have over Everton, for the summer, is Forest have a lot more players that are sellable assets. Everton don't really have that anymore. A couple of years ago, when they had virtually no money to spend, the three sellable assets were Calvert-Lewin, Anthony Gordon, and Richarlison. 2 of them are gone, and the other one is washed, realistically. So Everton are doing all right under Sean Dyche, and you can't, on the pitch, they're doing very well. It's just a testament to, it's just going to be interesting to see what happens with both clubs come the end of the season, and whether it's if we hadn't got points deduction, we would have stayed up, and all other hypotheticals.
Yeah, both clubs have come out with, what would you say, resounding counter arguments to the charges. Everton are saying that it's related to a lot of tax issues with their new stadium that's been built, which I suppose is a fair argument. I don't know the ins and outs of those sort of things.
Yeah, but
And
like,
then
hold on, just Jonathan, there. Sorry to interrupt you, but if they are saying like because of the new stadium, sure, they should have predicted it, like.
yeah,
But that not
yeah,
be
no,
fair to
100%.
say. Like
From what I've
like
seen,
when you're
though,
going building new buildings, like you put in a cost plan against it, like how much everything is going to cost to build this whole stadium. So this is our cash. This is how much it's going to cost. This is where we're going to be at. Like,
Yeah.
So
the thing is, though, from
Yeah,
what I've read about it, is that apparently they were allowed to make those adjustments, and even with the adjustments they were allowed to make, they still missed out on. Do you know what I mean? I think some people are saying it's a £9 million problem, but it's not. It sounds like I think it's like a £250 million issue that they've got in terms of. I don't know whether that's how much they've missed out on, but it's a lot of mismanagement by the Everton ownership and the board, and it's a shame for Everton that I don't think their board are fighting their corner for them. I think it's like the mayor of Manchester who's playing a part in this for them, which is quite ridiculous. Do you know what I mean? Like when you think a board and an ownership, they're not standing up for themselves. They're getting someone else to do it for them, even though they brought it on the club themselves. So that's all I've seen from it. So it's quite interesting in some way of what's going on here.
Well, like you touched on there, I think the 10-point deduction is a shock. But if someone said to you a year ago that Everton were going to get fined some sort of points, deducted some sort of points because of mismanagement of funds, you wouldn't have been entirely shocked, really, because of the way they've bought players the last 10 years or so. They've been as bad as the likes of Man United for absolutely splashing ridiculous sums of money. And you can laugh and joke about Man United doing it, but Man United are a financial powerhouse of the world of football. Everton are nowhere near, and we've joked at it. They've been in around mid-table mediocrity for years now. They've been one relegation away from becoming under Leeds United. So I mean, it isn't a great shock that they have been finally caught up with, and there has to have been some sort of financial irregularity there that's been significant enough to give them a 10-point deduction. And personally, looking at this now and looking at the way the Premier League have clamped down on this all of a sudden, I don't think it's any coincidence. I think this has got to do with the long-term charges against Man City and the 115 charges. I don't think the Premier League want to give Man City any opportunity to counter argument and say Forest did this, Everton did this, Man United did this, Chelsea did this, and they weren't properly deducted points. They want to have a proper solid case, I think, against Man City, because I think the charges, when they do eventually come against Man City, are going to be Rangers-esque in Scotland. I think you could genuinely see Man City playing non-league football. I really do think it's going to get that bad for them.
The way you're making it sound there, as if the Premier League are out to get City, like, do you think that is the case?
I don't think they're out to get City, but I definitely think that
there's too many charges to like just sweep under the carpet. Come on, if it was 20 of them, I'd understand, but there's 115. They're not going to just sit there and be like, so 115.
How many charges did Everton have then?
It was just the one they got the 10-point deduction. Yeah, they've had one that resulted in the 10-point deduction, and now they've got, this is their second one now that they've been charged the second time. And Forest have one as well. They have 115.
They're trying to link other crimes to scare the big fish that they want. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly. And don't forget.
Do you think it's going to be a case of behind the scenes of like City brown envelope under the table kind of job, passing it around, like?
No, I just think City have enough money to buy really good lawyers, and they're just going to. It could be another decade before we see City get relegated. Yeah.
Yeah, we said it there that the likes of Everton were probably too honest with the Premier League. I think City have been the opposite way. They've been very sinister. They've hired the best lawyers in the business to play dirty and kick the can down the road. They haven't made files available to the Premier League. They did the same thing when the financial fair play rules came against them in Europe and UEFA tried to charge them. They did all sorts of dirty tricks. They had the best lawyers in the game to ensure that they didn't get the charges that they deserved, and they got away with that in the end. I think they're hoping that the same thing would happen here, but long term, I don't. It does talk, absolutely. I wish I had enough of it to talk for me, but however, I don't. I suppose on that one there, as we're talking about City, looking back at the weekend, it saw, from a City point of view, a welcome return of Kevin De Bruyne, who no matter who you support, you can't argue that this guy's quality is absolutely above, head and shoulders above any other midfielder in the Premier League. Evan, what do you think it means for the run in now if De Bruyne stays fit for Man City between now and the end of the season? The Premier League alone, whatever with the Champions League, but the Premier League alone.
Well, there's two kind of sides if you want to look at it. Like, if you want to look at past seasons, like, De Bruyne is world class. There's no, like, I dare anyone to question it. And then if you want to go to the game, he just scored an assist as well, like, just after coming back from injury. Like, if he's doing that straight back first game after injury, it's kind of inevitable, like, if you think about it. It's madness. It does, like, he was off for so long, and the man just doesn't lose talent. Like, it's sensational to watch, and it is comparable to the legends of old. If you think about it, the likes of your Gerrards, your Lampards, Scholes, Giggs, you know. And as an opposition fan, it's shit to see being played against you, but as just a soccer fan in general, to look at it and think, fucking hell, he is a class player. I'd love him on my team. It is nice ball to watch, like, as opposed to most of the shit we're used to watching recently. Well, in my comparison, it's most of the shit I'm used to watching anyway. So it's kind of, to me, it's kind of evidential that CCR league champions again. So it's a good indication for him, and it's good to see even without Haaland, like, they have it in the bag. Simple as.
Yeah, well, you touched on it there. You mentioned the legends of old, the likes of the Gerrards, Lampards, Scholes, whatever like that. Like, I mean, I think at the weekend, that assist brought him joint level with Wayne Rooney on 103 Premier League assists. He's only behind Cesc Fabregas now on 111 and Ryan Giggs on 162. So the stats are speaking for themselves now. He's literally joint third exactly in the all-time Premier League assist stats. Like, I mean, that's absolutely phenomenal, and it kind of actually reminds me of how good Cesc Fabregas actually was as well. I hate him when he was at Arsenal, but my God, what a footballer he was back.
The linking up with Costa with Chelsea. Oh my God, I still watch highlights. It's amazing.
Yeah. I think it was that summer. I remember when Chelsea signed him and they brought in Costa. And in the first game of that season, I can't remember who they played. They won 3-0, I think it was, away from home.
Burnley away.
Was it Burnley? That's what I thought it was. I wasn't too sure, but I remember in that moment I was like, yeah, City or Chelsea have this wrapped up
in
already.
The bag.
It was game over after that first
game. They were
game.
prime days. There was no sign of us stopping.
No, Mourinho back in charge and everything. It was just written in the stars.
Mourinho changed things. Mourinho changed the standard when he first came to the Prem, because what clubs would do if you didn't win, if you lost one, if you dropped points in the first 5 games, everyone was like, yeah, it's fine. Get to October, you can still go on. But ever since every season Mourinho won the league, straight in August, set the standard, win.
But it just
continued from there.
It just goes to show when you give managers full control, it just shows what you can do with a club. It's beautiful. It's magnificent. Now, I don't know if it was just Mourinho in general. Was just that damn good, like, but it was sensational to watch. And I think there's an element that club owners and directors and everyone above can take a look back and think, right, this worked before. Now, new style of play, let the managers have full range. They know more ball knowledge and what they want on the pitch to suit their playing styles and the players that they already have. Like, it's something to look back on, I think.
Yeah, but I think it's Alex Ferguson said, I can't remember, was it in his book or was it in an interview after he retired? He said Mourinho completely changed the way he approached Premier League seasons, because Ferguson, he said he was always of the opinion, you start slow, hang on in there to the mid-season point in around January, and then you go gung-ho between then and the end of the season. But he said if you did that with Mourinho at Chelsea, the league was gone at Christmas. So that's testament to what Mourinho did to the Premier League and the standards that he brought to the Premier League when he came from Porto. Like, it was phenomenal. I think was only looking back the other day at some of the stats from that first season, and they only conceded 11 goals in the league or something like that. Like 25, Petr Cech had 25 clean sheets or something. It was,
in my
it's
opinion,
I still claim, it's
that-
better than any Arsenal invincible team.
I was going to say that 04-05 is more impressive to me than the Invincibles. More wins, more clean sheets, less goals conceded.
Exactly. But if you look at the Invincible
they're just
team,
the team that drew too many times. Arsenal just drew too many times.
It was like 17 or 18 draws. Like if you're going to claim Invincible, claim wins. Like that's what I want to see. Just because she didn't win matches or lose matches, he drew them. Like,
Chelsea lost one game that season in the league.
Bolton,
which was it was Man City. And
Man City, that's what it was. Yeah.
It was a penalty by Anelka. But apart from that, they competed on all fronts. They won, I think, the League Cup as well. And then Champions League semi-finals as well. I can't remember what they did in the FA Cup. Whereas the Invincibles, I think they weren't that competitive in other competitions either. So you can't... And I think the other thing with Mourinho was when he first came, Mourinho 405 is the best version. He's special. He has that, that aura about him. And he was allowed to build a spine. And with that spine, he taught them how to win. It's no coincidence how, like, every time Chelsea had like a bad period after he left, Cech, Cole, Terry, Lampard, Drogba, even the Mikkels and of the world, they single-handedly carried the team. Avram Grant didn't take Chelsea to the Champions League final. The players did, and Mourinho didn't have that at United. What he had was more franchise FC. A lot of big names coming in, big money, and a proper spine wasn't built, and that's where it kind of fell off. No team has won the league without a very good spine, and Mourinho had that when he came back to Chelsea.
But the thing is, even with, as you're saying, like franchise FC, Jose was still United's best manager after Fergie. Like the best position you got since Fergie was second place under who? Jose. An FA Cup, the only trophy you have since Fergie, Jose. So it does show like he's able to adapt and overcome to the best of his ability, obviously, and what he has around him. But
to be fair, his defensive perception has been a little bit flawed in his career. Like his Porto team weren't that defensive. His Real Madrid team was all about fast transition, and it's some of the best football you can watch. And personally, I would have loved to have seen, because the key principles of United, especially under Sir Alex, was win, but in style. And put it this way, you put that Real Madrid side in United shirts, you could argue it is that. It's winning, but it's also in style because it's some of the best transitional football you'll ever see. So, I don't know, with Mourinho and his adaptability, I feel like he doesn't get the credit he deserves for certain aspects. I just think at United, he got a lot of big players were given to him, but if you wanted the Mourinho project to work, not enough was still given to him because this guy brought in two £30 million centre-backs, and for half the time he was still playing the centre-backs that were already there. And you can't tell me that he wanted to win the league with Jones and Smalling playing every week. So,
but the thing is, right? I say you see it in the modern day, right? Managers don't get enough time, but at some stage you do have to cut ties. But it's a case of you seem to like Chelsea a manager every fucking half a season. Like managers need at this day and age, they need 2, 3, 4 seasons, like, and I think that's why Ten Hag is getting out at this stage. And it is nice to see managers staying on and not having replaced every fucking half a season and the same cycle repeat. You know, that manager comes in, we're still doing a rebuild. Manager gets sacked after 6 months because the rebuild isn't working under his style of play, like, and then the same cycle happens again. So it's I'm just looking at that comment there now.
I think the prime point for any manager, if we've seen, has been 2.5 years. 2 years, 2.5 years. And I think, like, Arteta was 2 years in the job. He'd finished 8th twice. But in that final, 6 months leading up to the 2-year mark, that Arsenal team were challenging for the top 4 and they were looking quite good.
Exactly. But
so that's when they thought, okay, we've invested maybe in the right guy here. So
exactly, and they gave him time. But if I remember correctly, seeing on Twitter that Arsenal lads were calling for Arteta's head after the first season, second season,
Yeah,
it just
he
goes
was
to
there
show
for a
when
year
you
and a
give a
half, and they
manager
were saying
time.
Arteta out. So they gave him another 6 months and another shoestring budget of 150 million quid, and they started looking good again. So
Exactly. So,
I think a manager gets time, but I think if it gets to 2.5 years and things are going wrong or things aren't going well, then it's the point where you think, right, maybe we're investing in the wrong project. And I think that Ten Hag is in his first 18 months now, and I think he has about 6 months to a year left of his almost like period where they look at him and go, okay, have we invested in the right guy or not, and what the project he's brought to the table. So I think that it'll be interesting to see, but I think 2.5 years is probably the pinpoint where they go, do we keep going or do we say no more, this isn't good enough?
Yeah, we look at that in just a couple of moments in a bit more detail. Just to finish off on that game from the weekend, the City and Newcastle game, it was something. It's a point I've been kind of thinking of all season, and it kind of bothered me a bit last year because I'm not a big lover of Newcastle. But I'll come to both of you on this one. Evan, I'll start with you. Do you think it's a case that Newcastle overachieved last season, or that they're underachieving this season? Because even though they've had that foreign investment, there hasn't been hundreds of millions of pounds spent on world-class talent yet. They've spent some money, don't get me wrong, but was last season a bit of a fluke in the sense that they got the Champions League ahead of schedule, or they're just drastically underperforming this year, do you think?
I think it's more underperforming, for being honest. Now, you can say, like, with the news and all that money being pumped in, they got the burst of energy to drive on and get Champions League, but it's kind of like a firework. All the energy and excitement up in the air, but it has to come down at some stage. So it's a case of putting the foot under, like, but they are underachieving. I think it's a right little team, like, they're a lovely little team, and there is a heap more money to be pumped in. But I think there is a bit of a scare in around of players going to Newcastle, and all this with the FFP as well. Then, like, spending big bucks. But, like, it's a lovely little club, and I actually kind of like Newcastle. They're an underdog, like, and their fans are amazing. That they're proper die-hard supporters as well, like, so. There's no doubt. I like seeing Newcastle up in the mix. So, but at this stage of the season, I think, yeah, it is more underachievement than anything.
Yeah, I think that's one thing you can't level at Newcastle. They're not a soulless club that had money kind of pumped at them from nowhere. They were always a very loyal fan base, sold out St James's Park most weeks, even when they were in the Championship. In fairness to them, they are a loyal fan base, and they do deserve a bit of probably of goodness and success. And that comment there from Dara, probably, I know a lot of teams have been plagued by injuries this year, but I think Tonali definitely is a massive loss for them because he came in and made a massive impact straight away. He has pedigree, he has quality, and I think the whole kind of betting scandal thing kind of took the club by shock. You know, I think even though there should have been due diligence done before he signed, I think they should have known these things beforehand. Julio, I'll come to you quickly on that one. Newcastle, what's your opinion? Do you think they're drastically underachieving this season, or was it a case that they just massively overachieved ahead of schedule last year?
One thing I'll say quickly before I talk about Newcastle, because obviously we got sidetracked from City. City are going to do that thing now where they're just going to go on a massive run, a long run of games. Kevin De Bruyne is testament to that. I think City haven't been at the paces this season. I think they're benefiting from other teams around them just not being good enough. I don't see them getting any more than 85 points this season, give or take. So, give or take one or the other. So it'll be interesting. But regarding
even with De Bruyne back, even with De Bruyne back. And Haaland due to be back in the start of February, first week of February.
Because City, even with them in the team, City haven't been at the races this season. I know it's early in the season; they don't usually do it. But I feel like after such a good season last season, I feel like a small fall off is due. So
full strength City, I don't think so, kid.
Yeah.
I know teams around are doing shit, but
listen, I could be wrong, but.
So who do you think wins it then? Who do you think wins it then, Julio? Do you think Salah will come back and inspire Liverpool to their 20th league title, or do you think Arsenal can still come from nowhere and win this?
No, in Arsenal's case, no team has won it without a good solid goalkeeper and a good set of forwards. Arsenal don't have that.
I think
just playing the okey-dokey with the goalkeeper situation. They don't have a good enough forward. They literally have a striker who says, my best thing isn't scoring goals. Their left winger isn't good enough to win the league. Do you know what I mean? And as for Liverpool, they don't have that solid foundation in midfield, so they're playing too many basketball games. Do you know, it's all just like end to end, and it's literally a case of we'll just try and outscore you, which is a little bit suicidal, but it's granted it's entertaining to watch, but it's just not good
brilliant
enough.
ball to watch, actually.
It's just not good enough, in my opinion, to win the league. So, and also as well, when you take Salah out the team, the other forwards I don't think are doing enough goals wise. They're not playing well and they're not scoring enough goals. You know, Núñez doesn't know what foot he is or like what shoes he's wearing or whatever. Diaz hasn't been himself.
Man's a fucking
Jota,
donkey up front, so he is. Simple as he's a donkey.
He plays like he's wearing Timberlands and he doesn't want to crease his football kit. It's quite crazy with Núñez. Jota hides terrible performances with stats. So yeah, I just don't think. I think City win it, partly because obviously we know how good they are, but the other part being the others just aren't good enough. Like if we'd got our recruitment solid last summer with, I don't know, just Harry Kane and Declan Rice on their own, we might have been in with a better shout than Arsenal and Liverpool. But obviously not.
I don't think, actually, now that you say that, I don't think Rice would be doing as well at United.
No, definitely not. I agree.
Probably not.
No, I don't think so.
I think he would have been a better fit, like the profile of player he is, but given what's happening with United and stuff, I don't think he would be doing
Sure, look at how United treat players. Like, look at poor Sancho there. Second he comes out of the club, he's over to Germany, but he's giving assists. When you give a player just a bit of love, like, look what happens, kid. Did Rice would have got that? Not a hope. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Declan Rice would probably be playing left full at Man United at the minute. Whenever Ten Hag would be seen.
The tactical genius of a wreck Ten Hag.
I think it will be a case of we'll see how it unfolds in the next 6 months, and then in hindsight, I'll probably base my opinion off that, because at the moment, all I can say is it looks like a win-win for Ten Hag, because either they get to sell Sancho and get good money for him at this point, or if Sancho fails, which I actually thought he might not do well, because plenty of other players leave the Bundesliga with a big move, go back after it failing and not doing that well. And, you know, either he proves Ten Hag right with not doing the business out there, or they get big money for him. So, I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
The club also gets a bad reputation if he bangs back out in Germany. Like,
yeah, I know. That's the worry.
It would prove that United in this day and age are kind of a career killer.
I think he'll do quite well in Germany. I think he's just accustomed to it. I think the league suits him. It's the right pace for him, and I can actually see him outstay Ten Hag.
Also, training with Premier League division, playing Premier League matches, it's a different quality of ball. I think Premier League is a lot higher than the Bundesliga, and to come down to, it's not a mighty drop, but to come down to Bundesliga level, he should be clearing up. Like,
yeah, 100% agree. Probably brings us nicely on to our next point now, and Ten Hag.
Newcastle overachieved last year. Just saying that now.
Newcastle overachieved. You're 2 minutes behind everyone, man.
Oh, my kid.
Newcastle overachieved.
The man's computer is frozen.
They overachieved last year.
I thought my Wi-Fi was the problem tonight. But...
the man's still talking about City.
Eddie Howe's getting sacked in the next year, and Jose's going into Newcastle.
Yeah, I have that good feeling as well. I think they'll want a big name manager. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that Eddie Howe is asked.
I think the way they play though is suited. The way the players are when it's a big game, like Jose has that like us against the world kind of mentality. The way Newcastle set themselves up
at Roma with that us against the world mentality. Sorry for putting it again now, but it works from the underdog.
Yeah. I just think the way they play, and as well the way the fans are in a big game, I feel like the atmosphere of St James's Park is something good to have on Newcastle side. And I think Mourinho will like will work with that. He just
I think
needs
Newcastle
to.
fans would love him.
Oh, they would. You know, the link to Sir Bobby as well. That's almost written in the
True.
stars. And Newcastle away was Mourinho's bogey team. Do you know what I mean? It's the bogey fixture. He just couldn't do it there for some reason. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I think you got a good attitude there at Newcastle that will work with the little bit of dark arts we've seen them work with. I think Mourinho will fit right in. He just needs to actually move up there. No hotel business and London on weekends or whatever he was doing at United.
Yeah. Just to touch on a comment there is that Josie going back to Chelsea. Me personally, I like, we all know he's not, but me personally, I wouldn't want him. If I had the option, I wouldn't want him back to Chelsea, just solely because of the owner we have and his reputation. Solely just to keep Josie's reputation as the special one, chosen one, intact for me personally. And I'm sure a heap of other fans, like, it broke my heart to see Lamps fail not once but fucking twice, describe me. And I think that kind of took away from Lampard's player ability in his time. So for that reason, I wouldn't want Jose back. And I think with the personality Jose has and Todd Bowley has, they just clash. We see it with Thomas Tuchel, and it just go to shit. So he's not a fit for Chelsea at this moment. So, and if he was to come back, this would be the last time to come back. But he's not going to come back. To me personally, he's gone to Newcastle. So we need to stop this Jose back to Chelsea shit.
Yeah, look, I think it probably brings us nicely onto the next point. Anyway, I was going to come to you, Evan, on this one. That Chelsea are kind of going through a mini revival at the minute. I think they've won 3 league games in a row for the first time since, I think it's November 22. I think I saw that started, or there's something like that.
Okay, we don't need the stats, on. Just give me the facts.
United and Chelsea fans will take any stats that look good these days. It's just that bad. But what are your opinions on Poch? Because I've seen so many mixed reviews and mixed opinions from Chelsea fans on Pochettino. You know, a lot of them are saying, look, give him time, he'll get it right. Others are saying he should never been appointed to the Spurs connection. He's a flop. What's your personal opinion on him?
To me, like, I've only started to call it, he's not Pochettino anymore. It's fucking Caramel Frappuccino. That's his name from now on. Same with Eric Ten Hag. It's Erect Den Hard. How fucking scandalous the two of them are. But Caramel Frappuccino, like, I didn't want him at the start, right? The two options were Frappuccino and fucking Enrique. I wanted Enrique, and I'll die on that hill. He was a better option, hands down. I don't care who says, oh, but Poch at PSG or Poch at Spurs. Poch at PSG was a fucking mascot, if anything. The players didn't want him. You could have put my mother in that position, and they would have got the same results. He didn't have to do that. The players he had, the team he has, he's not this tactical genius either. Like, you see it in the last match against Middlesbrough. Like, they sat back the whole game, even after scoring the goal. Thiago Silva had a pain in his face for trying to fucking call a player, shout at lads to fucking make a move. And Poch just standing there or sitting down in the fucking dugout with his hands in his fucking head, like what? He's riding off the underdogs of that Spurs team, of Harry Kane, Son, carrying the whole squad, and he's riding off of a fucking absolute all-star of a PSG team. Like I said, he was a mascot there. But what do you do at this stage? Like, the only manager available is Jose. Like I said, I don't want him. So it's a case of riding it out till the end of the season and see who's around, if anyone's around. Or he needs to fucking step the fuck up and change his tactics. Get some tactics, if that's the way you want to be it. But like I said, going back to the Middlesbrough game, like, it's like I'd love to know what was said to the players before the match and at halftime. It's like he got everyone, right, lads, quiet down, right, go out and have fun, try win while you're at it. Like, that's what it looked like from watching the game. It was just so shocking, and it was just unfortunate at Palmer missing them few chances. But like, that's down to the players. It's not down to the manager. and it was just fucking septic. And I said it watching the match. I say after the first, I'd say 10 minutes. That was a game that Mudryk should have been starting. To run, and that's what I needed. But sure, look, that's why he's up there and I'm down here. What will I know about it? But that's just my opinion, that kind of way.
Yeah, I have to say, I was shocked when he was appointed in the summer as a neutral. I actually thought they would go more along the lines of Enrique, someone like that, because I thought that was the direction Bowley was going for. I thought he was kind of going for that best in class kind of look, but I was very, very surprised when they went for after sacking Graham Potter and then going to Pochettino after Lambert. It was baffling.
Potter should have never been in the first place. Anyway, I'll die on that hill.
No, I agree. Yeah, no, I agree.
Too big for his boots. The team was. He
needed. Yeah, he needed a club, I think, in between Brighton and Chelsea. Chelsea could have worked out to be a good club for him, but he needed somewhere in between that. I think Brighton to Chelsea was too big a jump at that stage of his career in terms of managing those sort of players, that level of player. Julio, we've talked plenty on the Man United shows about Pochettino and the amount of times he was linked at Man United in the past. What have you made of him at Chelsea so far, and do you regret that United didn't appoint him ahead of Ten Hag?
I mean, when we were linked with him after Ollie was sacked, the only way I would have taken him was because there was obviously I don't know if you remember, there was that article where it says, because he was in Manchester that week for the PSG City game in the groups, and people were saying he has a release clause in his contract, and there are talks that United might look to get that and get him in at the time, which was November 21. I would have rather have Ten Hag. I wanted Ten Hag over him at the time, but it was like I want to get the manager in now as soon as possible, give him this next 6 months of the season, see what he's got, and see if he can get top 4 with this lot, and then sort out whatever in the summer. But I mean, regarding Chelsea, it's like it's similar to United in the sense of there's just so many different things that are wrong that it's just make one massive like shit pie, if you get what I mean. Like there's problems in the boardroom. There's like so many different players there who there's no, do you know what I mean? Most of the team that you had 2 seasons ago, gone. So you had a bunch of new players come in, trying to settle in. They couldn't settle in with all those other players. And then loads of other players leave and come in. And then you've got all these individuals trying to gel in a team that isn't there. So it's like, it's a very difficult point. I've said before that a transfer ban would help you. Like if you just sign like an Ivan Toney or someone now and then get a transfer ban for the next year and a half, 2 years, it might help you. Generally, just another striker, because I'd be very surprised if you do no business at the moment. But
Ivan Toney, I seen on Twitter there today, or X, whatever you want to call it. He's back. Yeah, he's back. But I think, as you said, signing a striker, I think if Watkins doesn't get snatched up, it'll be such a fail window by everyone. I think he'll be the signing of the season. I think he's unbelievable, and I think he's such an underrated player as well. Like, other than Haaland, who's next? Who's that number 2 on the list? Like, who are you going to call on?
That's the problem. I keep saying this nowadays. The Premier League with strikers doesn't have the same like juice it had like 10, 15 years ago.
No.
Yeah, no. Like your Henrys, your Drogbas, your Rooney's.
Yeah.
It doesn't have that.
The players now don't have the same thing about them the same way that those guys did. Like
I think Dominic Solanke is third in the Premier League goal scoring chart or something this season, isn't he, after his purple patch in December? So like that says it all. Like fair play to them, but that's the standard of the strikers in the Premier League now after Haaland. Question in the comments there, Evan, for you. Would you take Tammy Abraham back at Chelsea given how he performed under the transfer ban?
I never wanted to get rid of him. I love Tammy. I never wanted to get rid of him. So I'd gladly take him back. I think he's a big step up from Jackson, and I like Jackson as a player, like, but he's just not doing it. Do you know what I mean? And there was a big hype with him coming, the next stroke, but whatever, like, but he's not. And he's just underperforming. And same with Broja. I like Broja. I really like Broja, and it's shit to see these players I like so much do bad, like.
I don't think Breuer
would-
gets a fair run out. Like Jackson will get 5-6 games in a row and not score that many goals. Then he'll not be in the team for like a suspension or an injury for a couple of weeks. Breuer will get a couple of games, but then as soon as Jackson's fit, he puts Jackson straight back in. I think, especially with the injury Breuer had, I think he has to get a few games to get like a proper like run out of games to actually properly get back into the swing of things before I think you'll see an effect. But I don't know why he's not. I don't know why Pochettino isn't doing it. Look, I think Ferguson links. That's not happening.
Yeah, look, it's the same thing that we had this in the group chat as well. It's a case of the Irish is coming out with me and liking him as a player as he is, and as much as I'd love to see an Irishman up front for Chelsea and banging goals, I think it would ruin his career to move at such a young age to such a big club. I if I was to give him advice straight to his face, it'd be stay where you are, develop a bit more, then move up to the big league. Do you know what I mean? Move up to that big club, you know. But I'd love to see him. I'd love to see him there, but personally, I give him advice to stay where he is.
Yeah, we had this.
Should he stay where he is, or are you?
Wait, who?
Pochettino.
Frappuccino, caramel frappuccino. He look. Like I said, ride him out to the end of the season, and we see where we are.
Yeah, I think you're probably. Yeah, I think he's definitely going to get until at least the end of the season. And I come to you with this one, Julio, with Ten Hag. Do you think at this point now he's on a bit of a trial period now at the club, that it's like the last 18 months, best part of 2 years mean nothing now? He's on trial for his job. Ineos are there now. He's in a constant interview now. He's trying to save himself before the end of the season, because it certainly feels that way. I think there's been a change, there's a shift. That League Cup win and the feel-good factor we got out of that, our first trophy in 6 odd years, that feel-good factor is definitely disintegrated now. The money in the bank, the points in the bank are definitely gone from that now. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think Ineos or the club will pull the trigger on him before the end of the season, or will they just see it out regardless now and then make a decision later on?
Yeah, I think since the League Cup win, United sacked off the rest of 2023, which is ridiculous. And it's gotten to the point now where new ownership or not, it's the question mark. The question is now is going away from what have you done for us so far, and it's becoming what are you actually going to do for us now? Like where do we go from here? And I think, with the new ownership, it's not uncommon to see a change at some point. So I'd be very surprised if Jim Ratcliffe's gone in and just said, yep, you're definitely our guy. We're going to keep you on for the long term, this, that. No, he's definitely gone in there and gone, we're going to be reviewing everything. So even if it's no matter what you've done, right, we're still giving you maybe not saying it, but I think it'll be interesting to see where it goes for Ten Hag between now and end of the season.
I think he's there to stay. I think that's it. Like, I think.
Well, you would say that, wouldn't you?
Well, of course, no, but not coming from a thing of like of taking the piss or whatever. But I think he has enough support behind him, regardless of results or whatever. Like, I think there's enough support behind him to keep him there for another 2 or 3 seasons.
If the injuries coming back don't change the fortunes, or if there's no obvious change from injuries coming back, then a lot of questions will be asked, because obviously the main thing has been injuries this season.
I think it'd be so stupid for United to. Yeah, I just think it's so stupid for United to sack Erect Den Hard. Like, it'd be. I think it'd do more damage than good, and to just, like I said, that cycle again of a new manager coming in and having to settle down, organise to his style of football and all this crack, but. Could be wrong.
I think the issue with it, obviously, is because obviously there's been a cultural problem at United for years, and what we've got now is we've got a bit of a standoff where you've got a guy who's come in trying to do everything himself because the board has given him that much. The old board, at least, has given him that much power, and he's trying to change the culture. And over time, Granted, there's the whole Sancho situation, which you need to back the manager for if you want to actually make change in the culture of.
He was trying to embrace his inner Fergie was that no player is bigger than the club.
That kind of thing, yeah. But I don't know. I think what Ten Hag has done, unfortunately, is over time, it seems like he's abandoning his principles on and off the pitch. Like we're seeing leaks and reports about apparently he's trying to maybe soften his approach because he doesn't think his players could handle a telling off.
Well, if that's the case, then it's down to the players then for being too soft. Like if you look, like I said, the players of old, your Roy Keanes, your Beckhams, that were all on that tough, hard out United winning team under Fergie. Like you see there, Fergie with Keane. Like Keane was this, everyone feared him, like on and off the pitch. And Fergie, good luck, go on, you're gone, like, and just prove to everyone that he's the one in charge and that no one is bigger than the club itself. Like, so I think
I think the problem with Man United is that any manager we have in charge is only as authoritative as the board are behind him. And unfortunately, since Ferguson left, every manager we've had has been let down with the board in terms of those final decisions, in the sense that Van Gaal came in, wanted certain players out. Ed Woodward said, nah, his brand appeal is too much. Joe Glazer said, nah, financially he's worth too much, was on our books. Same with Ollie, wanted players out, was told, no, you can't go there. Martial has been tried to be offloaded now by, I think, 3 different managers and has been let down every time because we've seen something. If Man United, if we trigger his contract extension, he's due a testimonial next summer. That is absolutely fucking terrifying. The Anthony Martial
testimonial.
You think of the legends that left that club that never got a testimonial, but Anthony Martial could get a testimonial in the summer of 2025 if his contract is triggered.
Free tickets for anyone who's been Martial FC for the last 5 or 6 years.
It's absolutely crazy.
He had such potential, man.
He really did. He could have been as good as anyone. He's just so lazy. It's ridiculous. Really.
The only time he did well was when he was given freedom. Like when he had Van Gaal for his first season, Van Gaal was like, he doesn't understand a thing I'm saying, so all I'm just going to say to him is just play. That's literally Martial's instruction, was just play. Jose comes in, he knows he's not good enough as a main striker, puts him on the left, keeps him hungry by rotating him and Rashford every week. Then he looks
Just curiosity, how much is Martial getting paid? Is it 150 to 200?
I think it's like 250k.
Fuck off. No way. No wonder he's fucking lazy. He doesn't care, sure. He's only he's like the rest of the United players. He's only at the club for a payday.
His last good season, where he got 20 plus goals in that Ollie team, then played through injuries, got worse injuries, and then just stopped trying. You know, it's like, I'm getting injured all the time. I'm earning all this money. Life is good. Like when we signed Ronaldo, we got rid of Dan James when Ollie was like, I want to get rid of Martial, but we can't.
Yeah, I'm going to call it now, right? I'm going to say 90%, if not more, not fully 100, but 90% of the players at United are only there for a payday. I'm telling you that now.
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me. Because the other thing is, when you're at United as well, you get bigger sponsorship contracts. Like your boot deals go up a lot more when you're at United, for example. Everyone's going to want to sit on the bench. Players would rather sit on the bench at United on a lot more money than they'll ever see anywhere else. Yeah. Not just from wages, but from sponsorships and everything, than they would if they moved to like a West Ham or something.
But the likes of Luke Shaw, like I feel like he's one that's is there for the club. I feel like Bruno is there for the club. But I just think the rest of them are just there for a payday. You know?
Yeah. Look, it's a problem that
like if someone came to me in the morning and just said, Evan, say if I was playing my local team, Evan, you have a chance to sit and rot away in reserves at United at 100k a week, or you get to do what you love and play ball week in, weekend, at your local club and make none. Give me United any day of the week. Fuck soccer. I'll sit in the reserves, kick a few balls at half time there. Give me that 100k a week, kid. Fuck out of here. Of course I am.
It's even better if you're picked to be the third choice goalie just to be on the books.
You don't do
anything. Like Lee Grant, Scott Carson, Rob Greens of the world just sat and did nothing and got paid big money for it.
Give me that 100k a week, and tell everyone, I'm on the United squad, Might be sitting in reserves, but no, I'm on the United squad. We'll just buy this closure. I'm on big time money, like. Of course, give me that payday all week. Of course I am. Like, madness.
You should be going trouserless every week. You wouldn't care.
Of course I would. Of course I would. Give me that big money, like. The likes of, like, Hyland and Varane. Varane at the end of his career, like, he's not as good as he was going to be, but he's going to get big bucks to play in the Premier League. And he's out injured most of the seasons he's been there. Any day of the week. Any day of the week. And anyone's a fool and a liar that tells it any differently. That everyone's taking that payday. Everyone. Simple as.
I think that's an absolute perfect way to end the first episode of Talk of the League back, because that's Evan Fahey offering his services to Sir Jim Radcliffe and Aos. He will happily sit in our reserves on 100k a week. He's not asking too much. He's just going to sit in the reserves on 100k a week.
For United, it's small money. For United, it's small money. You know what I mean? The Glazers are good to you. They keep coughing out to you. So.
I look out for you on the next series of Football Manager next season.
I'll go after that then. I have the career set out, so I do.
Player coach.
Yeah, I'd be like what Jose said. There's no one in Chelsea's corner. When I'm 70 years of age, I'm going to retire and go into punditry and be in Chelsea's corner. Kind of misquoting Jose Mourinho there, but that's what I'll do.
That's the gist of it anyway. That's the gist of it.
Yeah.
Right. As look, lads, thanks so much for that. The hour nearly flew by there. Just looking ahead to the weekend, then the second set of 10 teams are playing. Starts off with Arsenal Palace the weekend, 12:30 at the Emirates. Then Brentford and Forest, followed then on Sunday by Sheffield United, West Ham. Bournemouth host Liverpool, and then next Monday Brighton and Hove Albion play host to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Look, I'll be back next Wednesday at the same time, 9:00, with the two lads talking different shite. It'll be more or less shite again, but it'll be different shite. We'll try and vary it up every week and mention as many teams we can. If anyone has any suggestions for topics for us, do get in touch with the channel or any of the boys that are associated with the channel. We've keep an eye on the social pages and look, leave comments, send us DMs if you want us to talk about particular things or anything like that. But look, Evan, thanks so much for tonight. Julio, it's been a pleasure as always. Lads, thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for everyone for watching. And look, as I said, keep an eye on the social channels. We've loads of shows coming up over the next month in January. Even though we're not playing much, we'll have plenty of shows up and running. So look, thanks very much, guys. And look, we'll see you all soon.